got my retirement all planned. My wife and I were going to the Andes to look at orchids. Now, I shall have to stay here while people bicker and backbite and... Well, at least the college isn't directly involved. But people will think so, you know. They'll think so, and they'll blame me.
Hey, someone give you permission to use that?
I thought I'd get on with some paperwork while the boss is away. Where's Meadows' stuff?
It's in that plastic bag there.
Oh, lovely things, these. Save you hours.
I know a bloke at Scotland Yard. He lost 6 months' work by pressing the wrong button.
Ah, you can't do that on these. They've got an extra memory, like a reserve petrol tank. You can wipe something out and still have it there. Look, press that, and that, and that. There you are. Bloody hell, this is the letter to Meadows.
What?
What's this here? Look.
Marvels of modern science, eh?
Let's see what else is in here. Bloody hell.
It's more and more complicated. The sequence is impossible to tell. Obviously, the first head wound came before the later ones. But whether it came before he fell or after,
Wait a minute. What do you mean the first head wound?
Well, there are definitely two separate kinds of wound. The original one was done with something sharp. Here. That wasn't a hammer, was it? No, the hammer came later.
Later?
Well, I couldn't see it first. There was so much trauma to the skull. But there it is now. Plain as anything.
That first head wound, Dr. Russell, was it enough to kill him?
Oh, yes. Went right through his skull. And it a pretty thick one.
So the battering wasn't to make it look like murder. It was to hide the fact that it was murder.
Sorry?
No, you've got nothing to be sorry about, my dear. You've done very well.
Well, I realize I'm not Max.
Thank God you're not. He never tells me anything. What's the G for? I can't keep calling you Dr. Russell.
Well, I prefer it to, my dear.
Sorry. One of those, are you?
One of what? Mine is a very masculine world, Inspector, and I don't like being patronized.
I'll try and remember. What does it stand for?
Oh, it's, just an old family name.
Greta? Gilda? Greer?
You've been watching too many old films on the box. No, it's... It's ridiculous. It's Grayling.
Grayling? Like the fish?
You can imagine what I got called at school. What's your name?
Oh, everyone just calls me Morse.
Oh, yeah. They told me you wouldn't say.
They were right. Thank you, Grayling. Thanks a lot.
You wait till Morse sees this, he'll go mad. He thinks it wasn't suicide now, but there's the note.
Looks like it.
Looks like it. Prue, darling, I can't go on. Prue. Prudence. That's Lady Hanbury's name, isn't it?
Part of it, yeah. She's Helen and Elfrida, too, according to that book.
See, the problem with Morse is he always wants things to be so complicated when they're not.
Only because they're even more so. Who gave you permission to use that machine?
Look what I found.
Fake.
What?
Whoever wrote a suicide note on a typewriter, let alone one of these things. You got his letter to Meadows.
Here.
Well, then look at it. I apologize from the bottom of my heart, but I feel it is the only civilized thing to do. How does he spell apologize? With an S. Civilized. Another S.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it's illiterate, that's what. The Oxford English Dictionary uses a Z for words that end I's. And so did Sir Julius. Here, look. So he didn't write it. Whoever did can't spell desperate.
Isn't that how you spell it?
Desperate, Lewis, not desperate. From the Latin spero, sperare, to hope. As I would hope that anyone would know with a half-decent education.
So who did write it then? Not Lady Hanbury. She can't type.
Says she can't. Where did she go to school?
Cheltenham Ladies' College and... hang on. Newnham College, Cambridge.
Wasn't her, then.
McKendrick.
A man who wears his old-school tie round his waist certainly shows no respect for learning.
But she said she destroyed the note so we wouldn't find it. So why leave it in the machine?
And so we should find it, of course, and think it genuine, like you, and believe her story, which is, of course, more aristocratic flim-flam.
Sorry, I don't follow.
You just get on and write your reports. Lewis, before we arrest them, we really must find the murder weapon.
What?
Come on. Something sharp. Has to be something sharp.
No, not strong enough.
Tripod. It's screwed on properly. There's something wrong here. Yeah, it's bent.
He had a pretty thick skull. Any traces?
Can't see any.
Which of them was it?
Must have been McKendrick. He's a strong lad. And he had the motive.
What motive?
Lady Hanbury. Maybe Sir Julius cut up rough. Didn't like the idea of the gardener running off with his lady wife. There was a struggle and...
Why up here?
coming up to lower the flag at sunset.
Come on, Lewis, you can do better than that.
Well, maybe he was in on the blackmail too.
Maybe he was, yes. Has he made a statement yet?
Not a formal one, no.
Go and get him to write one. Plenty of words ending in I's.
Police, where do you think you're going to, young lady? All right.
I told you I was back here by about 1, and I saw a light on downstairs by
Miss
the river.
Riage says she got back here at 11:45 and the whole house was in darkness, madam.
And you believe her rather than me. Thank you.
It's an inconsistency, which is why I'd like you to tell me exactly where you were last evening.
Yes, I went up to London, to the opera,
Colosseum or Covent Garden?
the garden,
Really? What were they doing?
Tosca.
Lovely. I'm very fond of Puccini.
Really?
I always wish I'd heard Maria Callas doing Tosca.
She wasn't nearly as good as everyone says. Very inaccurate singer, you know. And all that strutting about the stage. Very vulgar, I thought.
Who was doing it last night?
Mara Zampieri.
Any good?
I thought excellent. Not one of these. Though what that has to do with...
I like to keep up. Who else was singing?
Placido Domingo.
Domingo. If only I could afford Covent Garden.
Well,
In good voice, was he?
superb, as usual.
Is that where you got the idea?
What idea?
Suicide. Tosca throwing herself off the castle walls in Rome. McKendrick throwing your husband off the roof here.
Possibly. Hadn't thought.
Domingo. Do you happen to have your program, Lady Hambry?
No, I never keep programs.
Oh, you should. Domingo programs. They're collector's items already. And it would have been proof of where you'd been.
I rather assumed my word would be enough.
This is a murder inquiry, madam.
But I thought...
Oh, yes, of course. But still, we'll be preferring serious charges, you know.
Well, if you need proof, I honestly don't know that I have any.
Opera ticket?
No.
Train ticket, then?
I might have, I suppose. Oh, but of course, I have my evening bag.
Would you mind getting it for me, please, madam?
Well, if you insist.
Oh, I don't insist, but I would be very much obliged.
Well, then I will do as you ask.
Thank you. I'll stay and enjoy the pictures. Is this the Gainsborough?
Of course.
What do you think I should say about knowing it was a crime?
Well, how about... Although I realised it was wrong, Lady Hanbury was so desperate, and I sympathised so strongly with her.
Hang on.
I sympathised so strongly with her.
Is the inspector still at the house?
Well, as far as I know, his car's still there.
Yes, here you are. I did have it.
Thank you very much. Dated yesterday. Good. Well, I'll keep this if you don't mind. It's no use to you now, is it? Are you quite satisfied this Gainsborough's genuine, madam?
Yes, of course it is. We have his receipt for the money somewhere. What on earth made you think otherwise?
Oh, something about the brushwork. I had heard there were doubts. Police work, you know, it's all doubts, imagination. Thanks for this, anyway.
She's here.
Right.
And she knows he's dead.
Well, thank God for that. The thing I like least about this job is breaking the bad news.
No, that's why you always make me do it. You're right. There isn't a Z in his whole statement, and he doesn't know how to spell desperate.
We'll talk to her away from the house.
They were only photos. He did not ask me to do anything. It was just poses, you know.